The Ultimate Universe and comic book line may have some controversial moments, I'll grant you, but it's also important to remember there is a lot of good in there too. I'm Amanda McKnight, and today we'll be counting down the top 10 best moments in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Number 10. Gah Lak Tus. The thing to remember about the Ultimate Universe is one of its mission statements was to offer a different look at the Marvel world that was more grounded in reality. Well, there were a few things they were trying to do, but this was one of the things among them. They also wanted the Ultimate Universe to be a stark contrast to the main continuity, and it seemed to favor more of a gritty or edgy take on Marvel canon, and it aimed to eliminate the unapproachable elements of Marvel Comics by making sure stories weren't bogged down by years of established history and continuity for characters and events. Which means that when you go to a comic shop, anyone that walks into that comic shop can pick up an Ultimate comic and be like, I know what's happening. This is easy. When it came to Galactus though, the reason he really had to be changed is because the idea of a cosmic giant with a weird hat who eats worlds in the Ultimate Universe, it's kinda silly. It doesn't feel very grounded in reality, does it? Instead, they turned Galactus into Gah Lak Tus, a drone army that devours worlds as a massive group of city-sized robots flying around space. Which honestly, it might also be more terrifying than the original version of this character. Gah Lak Tus has since merged with the original villain of 616, Galactus or Galen, so now it does look like a giant Galen still, which is a little unfortunate, but this also made the entity more powerful between both worlds, so still pretty scary, even though now kind of ruined the whole, getting rid of the silliness look. It's what happens when the Ultimate Universe dissolves and is folded back into sort of the main continuity. Number 9. Sue Storm and Ben Grimm. Sue Storm and Ben Grimm aren't generally the most shipped couple in the Marvel Universe, but that simply might be because Reed Richards is in their way. In the Ultimate Universe of Earth 1610, one of the cutest and most endearing relationships is actually the one between the two FF members. Here, Reed still held a flame for Sue, but when he proposed to her following Ultimatum, Sue, instead of accepting like in 616, actually said, nah, I'm gonna pass on that. This was part of what really messed up Reed, but also helped to bring Ben and Sue even closer, allowing a romance between them to blossom. In the Ultimate Universe, Ben and Sue get married, and they even have a daughter together. And friends, before we head on to our next spot, if you are loving this list and you're loving our content here on Top 10 Nerd, be sure to head on over to Facebook where you can follow us, and where we'll have lots of fresh, cool things coming your way soon. So check it out so you're there first. Number 8. Death of Spider-Man. Well, the death of Spider-Man, the first time around, felt a little rough and brutal. When we took a second swing at it with Brian Michael Bendis building the narrative and giving it room to breathe, it actually ended up being one of the most powerful moments within the existence of the Marvel Ultimate Universe. Peter Parker as Spider-Man is a character you never expect to die, which is what makes it so shocking and painful when it happens, and it feels extremely permanent. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on your take, we would learn later on that Peter actually was able to survive thanks to his powers' ties to the Oz formula. Still, Peter would basically decide to keep his resurrection and secret immortality a secret, and pass the torch of Spider-Man officially on to Miles Morales, who in the Ultimate Universe, and now also in Earth 616, is also Spider-Man. Number 7. Kitty Pryde and Peter Parker. Kitty Pryde and Peter Parker on paper kind of seem like a weird couple, but in the Ultimate Universe they really worked well together. In fact, I think Peter might actually be one of my favorite picks for Kitty in terms of relationships that we've had so far. Although I'm still holding out for Magic. I'm still holding out for Ilyana and Kitty to get together. Let's do it. Possibly, I actually like this relationship better than even that of Colossus and Kitty. At least that's my take. That's a very personal opinion, and I'm sure, it's a preference or not for folks. So if you out there are a Colossus and Kate shipper, that's fine. You can do that too. Together, the pair not only had fun as teenagers, but they also teamed up to fight crime, which was pretty cool. Sadly, their relationship did not last forever, and the pair did break up after Peter realized that he really wanted to be with Mary Jane instead. Ooh. While he would also seemingly die young, Kitty would still remember him fondly even as she grew up, lingering on what could have been if they had stayed together. Although she'd never confess her thoughts and dreams about their hypothetical life together. She kept those to herself. So sad. Number 6. Thor. Thor is another fascinating take on a character we feel we know so well. Although in the end, Thor did turn out to be Thor Odinson, son of Odin, who was made to forget his true identity on Earth. For a good while, we weren't so sure that was the case. Also, saying Thor Odinson, son of Odin, is such a weird thing to say because you're kind of saying Thor, son of Odin, son of Odin. The reason why we were so eager to believe that, hey, maybe Thor isn't actually Thor, is that the Ultimate Universe was touted and marketed as being a fresh take and less bogged down continuity-wise to that of Earth 616 and their characters. So we were like, hey, maybe they are reinventing this status quo. Thor initially appeared to be a delusional man who believed he was Thor, but was kinda like out of his mind. For his power, he heavily relied on weaponry and his suit to produce thunder and lightning, which allowed him to appear godlike. However, in the end, we learned that Thorleif Goldman really was Thor Odinson, but had been manipulated into forgetting his true identity more clearly. The character design alone here is enough to make Ultimate Thor one of my favorite things about this universe. Number 5. The Spider-Men meet. For many years, Marvel did their best to keep Ultimate completely separate from Earth 616, but eventually, the inevitable crossover between the worlds had to happen. We all knew eventually it would come around. The really cool thing about this though, it brought together Earth 616 Spider-Man Peter Parker with Miles Morales' Spider-Man from Earth 1610. Not only that, but Peter would also get to learn about his own seemingly unfortunate fate in this reality and cross paths once more with a living Gwen Stacy, who in the Ultimate Universe dies but is reborn again thanks to the lab-created being which killed her in the first place, Carnage. And for a time she even gets to be Carnage, which I thought was pretty cool. Short-lived though. Number 4. Colossus Secret. Colossus and Kitty don't end up together like how they do in the main continuity. Instead, Colossus is revealed to have a secret here when it comes to his sexual identity. Turns out the Colossus vs 1610 is actually gay. The challenge of him living as a closeted gay man makes him an even more interesting character in the Ultimate Universe, adding another layer of what it can be like to feel other, in addition to Colossus already being a mutant, so that's a huge part of his backstory as well. Colossus does get outed, but considering how masculine of a character he is, and how burly, he also provides a more diverse look when it comes to how gay men are usually depicted in mainstream comics. There are some that are burly, but definitely not enough. I feel like we need to diversify that a little bit. Number 3. Kitty Pryde leads the X-Men. I am a big Kitty Pryde fan, as you may have garnered from all my time spent hyping the current heroic Marauders mutant team, and Kate's place as their leader. Not to mention her new look as well. I am here for it. When it comes to Ultimate, she's another character who does not disappoint us. Even after her teenage years, which were pretty fun with her dating and fighting crime alongside Spider-Man, which we talked about earlier, Kitty becomes somehow even cooler and definitely a lot tougher. After the devastating and earth-shattering events of Ultimatum, Kitty would go on to become the leader of the surviving mutant nation and the leader of the X-Men team besides. At least the X-Men who choose to stay with her and follow her as a leader. Of which, were I an Ultimate Universe mutant, I would be one of. I would be here to join Kitty's team. Definitely. For sure. Let's also acknowledge that Kitty becomes the leader after she has lost almost everything in the wake of Ultimatum, losing many friends and loved ones who were closest to her. Kitty is strong. Number 2. The creation of the Maker. One of my all-time favorite characters that we've gotten from the Ultimate Universe has to be the Maker. The Maker is one of the best villains within and without Earth 1610, as he happens to be one of the few characters who made the move over from 1610 to Earth 616 after that universe was seemingly destroyed. That's how you know he's cool. Although don't worry, the Maker does appear to be working to restore the Ultimate Universe and has since brought that world back. What's even more wild is that initially the Maker was none other than hero and leader of the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards, proving just how rewarding and refreshing it can be to try something totally different with an established and widely predictable character. Also, I feel like I like Reed better as a villain. I feel like I like his Ultimate Universe counterpart better. Is that a hot take? I don't know. I don't think so. I think a lot of people feel this way. Number 1. Miles Morales Unmasks. One of the greatest characters we've gotten out of the Ultimate Universe, other than the Maker obviously, has to be Miles Morales. He also happens to be one of the few characters who has stood the test of time when it comes to surviving the destruction of his home universe, reality of Earth 1610. Instead of dying with many of the other residents of the Ultimate Universe, Miles ended up being saved and even returned once more on Earth 616, where he was permanently moved to after the events of Secret Wars. I mean, come on. You know you're cool when you get moved from an alternate reality to the main one, just to save you and your family. Miles unmasking was a huge moment for Marvel as they introduced us to a biracial Spider-Man who is not only a stand-up hero, but is also just a really solid character all of his own, as opposed to being a carbon copy of Peter Parker's Spider-Man, which I feel like there's going to be some people in the comments is going to be like, I think he is a carbon copy, but I really don't think he is. I think Miles has a lot of different stuff going on. It's definitely not usually as negative as Peter. No offense, Peter, still love you. What are your favorite moments from the Ultimate Universe? Are you still holding out for a return of the Ultimate line? Which Ultimate Universe characters do you prefer to their main continuity comic book counterparts? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight. I'll see you again soon, but until then, you stay nerdy, YouTube.